Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Town of the Paw Council meeting for Monday, February the 8th, 2016. Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. First up is the adoption of the agenda. Resolution we just have, please.
Moved by Councillor Rock, seconded by Councillor Zielinski. Be resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Okay, any questions on this matter? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? It is carried. All right. Item number 3 is the confirmation of minutes.
Moved by Councillor Rock, seconded by Councillor Zielinski. Be resolved that the minutes of the public hearing of January 25th, 2016, the regular council meeting of January 25th, 2016, and the Committee of the Whole minutes of January 25th, 2016 be hereby approved, all statutory declarations having been complied with.
Okay. Any discussion on this? I will be abstaining. I'll call the question. All those in favor? 6-9. I was absent, so I should be in the minutes. All right. Item number 4 on our agenda is Citizens Period. This is an opportunity for people who wish to address council. This is a great time to do it. If you would, please come, state your name and your address. For the record.
All right. My name is Lynn Marnock. My husband and I own the Northern Lights Dollar Store in the Uptown Mall. My address is 5 Frechette Place in the Paw. I'm here today to let you know about our concern regarding the amending of the bylaw for the plastic bag ban to include that we are no longer allowed to use biodegradable bags or any sort of bags other than that it sounds to be paper or cloth. In December, Jim was in our store and confirmed that we could continue to use our biodegradable bags that we were already using. He stated that the reason for the plastic bag ban was that it takes 5,000 years for plastic bags to break down, but biodegradable ones will decompose in about 5 years and become part of the soil. Other businesses stated that they were told the same thing. On the current bags we use in our store, they say they take 18 to 36 months to decompose. We have seen ourselves, our bags, decompose into nothing. Since Jim said we could keep them, we stockpiled the bags, and we have bought a couple $100 worth, which should last us a year longer because we didn't think there would be a problem. If you're amending the bylaw, what are we to do with these bags now? We are a small family-run business and can't afford to be throwing away a couple $100 worth of bags because you guys decided after the fact that biodegradable bags are not acceptable. That couple $100 means a lot to our family, and we could have spent the money elsewhere. What happened that 25 days later, the bylaw changed other than you don't want to see the bags blowing around the town and at the garbage dump? Wasn't that discussed when the bylaw initially was created? We thought the original bylaw was because of the environment and not filling the landfill with plastic bags, but this now seems not the case. We would think that biodegradable would be a good alternative as people could use them for garbage bags after as many of us do, and they would decompose in the landfill rather than having to buy plastic bags for your garbage that take 5,000 years to break down. What are you now proposing? That for my household, which until now always reused the plastic bags that we got from the stores for such use as our garbage bags, that now I have to go out and buy plastic bags for our garbage cans? Do you think the plastic bags that I will now have to buy from the store aren't going to blow around the garbage dump? It's not just my house that reuses bags we get from the stores for garbage. My parents do, my in-laws do, many of my friends do, my co-workers do. We use these bags for many other things in our household, such as when my 3-year-old pees his pants now, how is daycare supposed to send these child's clothes home? And it's not just the clothes, sometimes it's the blankets, sometimes it's a lot of stuff. Are you now proposing that they go and buy plastic bags? They currently reuse shopping bags for this purpose, or when we go swimming and we have our wet sopping clothes, a cloth bag drips with the wet clothes. Should I start buying plastic bags for this as well? Wouldn't reusing a biodegradable bag be better? There are so many ways to reuse a bag you receive from the store that I could stand here all night and discuss. We completely understand the plastic bag ban. If they don't decompose for more than 5,000 years, then yes, we understand and completely agree with the decision of council, but not the ban you are now proposing for biodegradable bags. You are now making so many more families go out and purposely buy plastic bags, which you're trying to eliminate from the landfill and being littered. Why not let us hand out something that is biodegradable or oxy-degradable, so we can reuse those instead of having to go to buy plastic bags? Since we have heard about the mending of this bylaw while driving around town, I personally haven't seen one plastic bag, and don't get me wrong, I know they're littered, and I've been looking. But you know what I've seen? I've seen coffee cups, pop bottles, beer cans, chip bags, brown paper bags, etc. Why don't we eliminate disposable coffee cups, pop bottles, and pop cans? They don't degrade. For coffee, they could be required to bring their own coffee cup if they would like it to go, because that adds to landfill, gets littered all over town, and doesn't degrade. If you want to tell me some coffee cups are biodegradable, what is the difference between the coffee cup and a biodegradable bag? What about the fast food containers that are all over town, littered, and that are flying around the garbage dump? Are you going to go after the restaurants to change? Why is it something that is going to degrade that we are trying to get rid of? Again, I ask, wasn't the purpose of this bylaw because plastic bags take 5,000 years to break down? Why not try to save the landfill environment with biodegradable bags? The recycling center manager had provided you with information regarding biodegradable bags versus degradable plastic bags. In there it says that biodegradable bags are not suited to recycle. Did you know that they can be given to the Girl Guides and they get benches for our local community out of them? I confirmed with Jennifer Luce today that biodegradable bags are accepted. If you're so worried about the biodegradable bags going to the dump, why doesn't the recycling center accept them and give them to the Girl Guides to make benches out of them? This bylaw is affecting our local businesses, and in that people don't buy as much. I know myself, I watch how many things I buy in a store now, and compared to how many cloth bags I have brought into the store, and I have stopped purchasing items because I didn't bring enough bags and don't want to add more cloth bags to my already large collection. You may tell me to bring more bags. Well, a lot of times I think I'm going in for a couple things, and then I see a sale or something else I forgot that I needed. I'm not alone in this. We hear people walking down the mall hallway saying, oh, we can't go in there as we have to buy bags and I don't want to buy anymore. People are carrying armful of products out of the stores. What about the customers that come from other communities such as Flin Flon, Moose Lake, or Puckatawagan? Do you think they are going to watch how much they now buy in my store if they have to bring their own bags or have to purchase their bags? You bet they will. Do you think they will decide to do more of their shopping at places that are still allowed to hand out plastic bags? You bet they will. Why not accommodate these people with bags that degrade? There's more shoplifting as people are filling their reusable bags to use as shopping baskets, and some empty it at the till. Others just decide to walk out without paying and hope that we don't catch them. People are recommending it to other people on Facebook that you should fill your reusable bags and load them at the till. While they are emptying the reusable bag at the till, you don't know what is left in their bag. For all you know, it's a whole lot of extra product from our store. We had this happen the odd time before the bag ban, but it has increased a lot, and once biodegradable bags are eliminated, we will see it a lot more. Do you know how mad customers get us if we suggest to use a shopping basket instead of their bag, or to make sure they pulled everything out of the bag that was to be purchased? Doesn't make for a pleasant shopping experience for them, and we want people to have a pleasant shopping experience in our store. We are in the mall, and we have some of the same products as other stores in the mall. People are now continually walking into a store with product from another store that is in a bag. We're having to try to figure out if they came from our store or not, and people get really upset. They'll swear at us if they're questioned. We get told, well, they don't give us out bags at such and such a place. We are a very busy store and it's hard to monitor everybody that walks in. We never had as much of a problem with this until the bag ban, and now it's only going to get worse if you amend this bylaw. There are people now just going to IGA to do their grocery shopping because they want to receive a bag and are upset about the town being bagless and would rather get a plastic bag than paper bag. Is that fair to our local grocery stores? Others have commented that if businesses refuse to purchase paper bags, then they will decide only to support the local businesses that do purchase paper bags for their customers. Biodegradable bags are less than a third of the cost of paper bags. Should we raise prices so we can afford paper bags? And we don't want to raise prices as it affects the people that live in the paw. Even if we decide to take the loss and hand out paper bags, do you know how awkward it is to walk out of a business with 4 paper grocery bags in your hand? Do you think the person will think twice the next time they come into our store to purchase product of whether or not they want to go through the awkwardness again of carrying out the bags? The Golden Star Chinese food restaurant has no clue what they're going to do if biodegradable bags are banned. They were going to get the same bags as us, as they have tried to use paper bags, but when someone comes in to get $100 worth of food and are carrying the food out, the bag rips. Who's responsible for the food that is now on the ground? So now, how many extra bags do they need to use to pack the food properly? They have packed 2 soups in a bag and the bags has ripped. Does that sound fair? Grubbox also approached us to find out who our supplier bags were also. They were trying to find a solution because customers are complaining about them just having paper. I personally can't imagine the cost Grubbox is now paying to try to keep their good customer service and handing out of paper bags. I could continue to discuss different businesses and the problems that have come about because of the bag ban, how unhappy customers are and out-of-town customers, and how it will just get worse when we are all just allowed to use paper or cloth. I have researched paper bags versus biodegradable bags, and what I found is that they say many believe that paper bags are more environmentally friendly than plastic bags because they are made from a renewable resource, can biodegrade, and are recyclable, but the fact is plastic shopping bags outperform paper bags environmentally, on resource use, on manufacturing, and on reuse, and on solid waste volume. We would really like you to reconsider amending this bylaw. Please allow us businesses to continue to use biodegradable bags or oxidegradable bags. And I do have samples of the bags we use in a store. They do clearly label that they are biodegradable. This one's an oxidegradable bag, and this one's just biodegradable. It says 100% degradable. They're clearly labeled to show the community that they're not just any type of plastic bag, if any of you would like to see. And I do have the research, if any of you are interested, about the research on paper versus biodegradable and some of the Facebook comments that I've heard. Thank you.
Thank you. I do know, I'm not trying to cut off the discussion on it, but I do know that it is on the agenda for our committee of the whole meeting following this one to discuss that very issue. Is there anyone else who would like to address council? Would council like to make any comments?
I just want to clarify that we're not amending the bylaw. What happened is that we had feedback come back from the community saying that the bylaw was kind of confusing, because if you read through the bylaw, the original bylaw, it clearly states that no plastic bags, single-use plastic bags shall be allowed, including biodegradable bags. But I think where the confusion came was that we have a definition for what biodegradable bags are. So some people took that we were allowing biodegradable bags, and even amongst ourselves afterwards we realized that there was some confusion, which is why it was put back on the agenda and why we sat down to discuss it. But our intention was always to remove single-use plastic bags.
Well, Jim was in her store.
I understand that.
And on your thing that you talked about last time, it clearly states that you're trying to get rid of biodegradable bags.
That was always the intention of the bylaw, though. The thing was is that there was some confusion, and so, like Jim said, it is on our committee of the whole agenda for later on to figure out how exactly we're going to deal with that, because we realize it's unfair that some people were told that biodegradable bags were okay and some people weren't. So we need to figure out a fair way to deal with that, but we never amended the bylaw. Like, our intention was to always ban single-use plastic bags of all sorts, including biodegradable.
I would just add that, I mean, the two major drivers behind the plastic bag bylaw is it's driven by the sheer magnitude of single-use plastic bags that exist. I mean, if you go to the waste disposal ground or near a waste disposal ground, you see them hanging from the trees all over the place. Just hang on one second. And then also, by the sheer magnitude, I have two kids. I use those bags all the time. It is inconvenient for me now that I don't get these plastic bags somewhere else to have to try and find a solution. And I'm not opposed to taking a lot of your valid points and reconsidering what our bylaw says and whether or not we should be making some changes as we are discussing. But the two driving factors are driven, the major driving factor is our piece of infrastructure, the waste disposal ground. The Department of Environment is very clear about what they expect from us in terms of seeing these things around that vicinity. It's an issue for us. It's an issue for most waste disposal grounds. It tends to be the thing that drives that change. We're not looking to drive that change because it's just the green thing to do. If we opted for the greenest thing to do every time, nobody would afford to be able to do anything. There would be no cars driving around because the greenest thing to do would be not produce gas. So all valid points. It would be great if you could leave a copy of your information, maybe with Jen, or provide it to Sam at the engineering department so that we can take it back in and have a look, because some of your points are points that perhaps didn't get due consideration at the time of the bylaw. And I mean, this is part of what happens when we introduce new bylaws. We tend to not hear much until the bylaw is ready to go, and then we tend to get some feedback. Sometimes it's really good feedback. It's unfortunate that usually it's right on the cusp of the thing becoming active. So I've heard you. Everybody's heard you. We're not dismissing your points at all. I will certainly take them into consideration when we go and discuss this at committee of the whole.
Is it possible that you can leave your note to us?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. Citizens period continues. Terry.
Mayor, councillors.
Can you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Pardon me?
State your name and address for the record, please.
It's Terry Hendrickson. I live in Fingerville, 309 First Street. So Mayor, councillors, fellow taxpayers, citizens. I'm a Canadian citizen, and this is my right to come and talk to the elected body. And I'm here about 157 Bell. It's part of Fingerville, and I read, in fact, I never knew about it till late the night after when it had been taken off Facebook, and the sale of 157 just went ahead. None of us in Fingerville, the oldest part of the PAW, knew anything about it, so it upset a lot of us. We are here because of the people on First Avenue and Bell Avenue. I don't feel that the sale of 157 Bell to Swampy Crew is proper and just, considering it's a residential area, and that there's other areas far better. We have been in contact with Swampy Creek suggesting there's other areas they should look at. The area immediately to where Western Groceries is will be coming available when the First Nation bands buy Hudson Bay Railway. We've got another Wood Acres 2 that was, I think the Hopper administration board $1.8 million to sell lots at $46,000 a piece, and in the end, none sold at that amount. They were sold for $1,000 a piece. And so I think out of 24 lots, there's 8 homes there. So I think that might be an area, just say, look, no one's interested. We'll give you, it's all water at $1,000 a pop. That'll save you a lot of money. You don't have to pay $157,000 we'll give you 10 lots, that's $10,000, and you can build what you, it's paved, it's quiet and that. But there's also a dangerous precedent that has been set in the area where we live. The oldest park in town is Dorian Park. And I came home from a job in Alberta once, and the guy stopped me on the street and said, it's gone, it's sold, it's going to be low rental housing. And he was talking about Dorian Park. I said, you're greatly mistaken, that's never going to happen. He said, oh, it's been passed by town council. The Dewar government has passed it, and the contractor is getting ready to move north. So I called town office, and by chance I talked to Randy Salamonowicz. I said, Randy, I'm really upset that Dorian Park would have been sold without anybody knowing about it. Oh, she says it's wrong. I said, Randy, the person telling me is not making it up. Oh, I said, is there paperwork down here at town office that would tell me what you guys, what the back? No, there's nothing. So I hung up. An hour later, the doorbell rang, and I was handed a 25-page document that has Randy's signature. She had put the signature of Mary Hopper on it. She had the date that the mayor and council approved the sale, and then it had been sent to Winnipeg, and at the date that the Dewar government had approved it. And it had the phone numbers of the contractor at Swan River and his surveyor in Dauphin, who were going to come and lay it out and tear it up. And this park, you know, my neighbors and I built in that area because we have a park, the oldest park. The first golf course in Nepal was that park. And we couldn't figure why. You know, the story is that because my neighbor at the time, Jack Kennedy, was the one that funded the Friends of Devon Park, that went to the Supreme Court of Canada before finally it was decided the town could sell it to some developer to build a big box store. So that could be just getting even with the former mayor for funding this group that was trying to keep Devon Park from being decimated into smaller portions and that. So I don't know what the true truth is, but I can tell you I took great exception. I called the contractor in Swan River, and I'd met him in the pond. He knew where I lived. He knew the park. I said, it's not going to go ahead. Your people will never get out of their vehicles. We'll be in court within hours. To his credit, he said, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'm not going ahead on it. It's dead. I have no interest in pursuing that rental agreement that I have with the town of DePaul. And so then I faxed the premier of the province at that time, still is, Greg Selinger. I said that the Dewar government had approved it to be sold, and I found out after the fact, and I've got the contractor to say he's not interested. So I think the provincial government should realize there's great opposition, and at your level, cancel it. I have been to council meetings asking you to rescind that motion so that Dorian Park is off the table. It will never be sold. A month after, this contractor said, you know what, I'm dead, I'm not going to go ahead with it. I got a phone call saying the town is still calling me, asking me when we're going to come and tear up Dorian Park. So this was all done without nobody, none of my neighbors or I knowing about Dorian Park. Now it's happening again. You know, 157 Bell, you know, it's been sold. And when I look at the purchase agreement that I got a copy of, the mayor didn't sign it, the CAO didn't sign it. And if you try to slip it under the table, I think it's going to go ahead. You know, as I mentioned, you know, we're here to say it's not going to happen. If I can't convince you, then as I did with the buyer of the property, which I'm referring to Dorian Park, if I can stop them from going ahead. So I have told them that we're deeply opposed and who our group are and where we are and why, and that there's other areas of town that the town should offer to the Swampy Cree, like half of Wood Acres 2, which is a dead goose. You know, why would people build a house where you got to have a four-wheel drive to get there, or your kids go on a bus? With something like Wolf Willows 2, you could throw rocks from Wolf Willows 2 to grub box or the school. So, I won't get into broad developments, but there we are. Why not sell a portion of that to Swampy Crew? It's across the road from a assisted dwelling, a home where people under disability can live. And it's close to the grub box. Did you consider selling part of Wolf Village too? Did you look at the ramifications of the First Nation bands buy and has to be away with, which mean that Western Grocery land is going to become available for something like this? No, you didn't do anything. You did call me and say, Terry, come on down with your neighbors and we're going to talk about this plan. No. When people want to build an old folks home on that 157 Bell, they were told, oh, the land is contaminated, we won't sell it to you. So what has changed? If the land is contaminated, why now would you sell it to Swampy Creek? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. After what you tried to do to us on Dorian Park, and now you're doing it all over again, it just doesn't make sense. So I'm saying that the deal is done. It's not going to go ahead.
Thank you.
I'm not done yet. I'll tell you when I'm done talking. You've had your chance. Jim, I'm upset with you. When I found out about it, I called the council. I said, I got to talk to somebody. Is the mayor in? No. No, I want to talk to him, but all you could do is leave a message on his voicemail. So I don't know if you got the message. But, it took quite a lot of money to try and kill Dorian Park being sold to Canadian Tire. By the time it had been to the Supreme Court, Canadian Tire wasn't interested, and they built it in Flin Flon. And then you still went ahead with it, and you let Extra Foods move in, and it killed the North Mart, it killed the Burger King, and it just was done for the wrong reason. So that's all I've got to say. I'm deeply disappointed in those of you that voted for it. I don't have the split, the recorded vote, but if you didn't vote for it, I want to thank you. And if you listen to me tonight, and I'm glad that it's a full mayor and council, I want you to think deep about what you did and think about, well, why don't we bring Swampy Cree back and say, that's too much money, 157. We'll give you half of Wood Acres for 10 grand. Let's wait for a while and you can get where Western Grocery was, which is right across from the hospital. You can walk down to what's left of Devon Park. You can walk across the river. So gentlemen, ladies, I want to thank you for listening to me. I hope my words have sunk in. We are here on behalf of the residents of First Street and Bell Avenue and of the PAW, because what the PAW needs is taxes. Sorry. If it's like Bob's Grocery, where it was sold to OCN and then it's a reserve, and that means we don't get any tax money from the land. If this land went through and was sold to Swampy Cree, then it's owned by the First Nations, it becomes a reserve, and then we don't get a cent of taxes off. That is not the way to go.
That's not true. It's just not true.
Well, what is not true? About OCN and
the land will not be transferred to treaty land. It's town of the property land, it's sold privately, and they will pay a price for the property, and then they will pay property taxes on that property forever.
That's not what happened at Bob's Grocery. That is now reserved.
We're talking 157 Bell.
Okay.
Okay?
Semantics. If you want to argue.
That's not semantics.
If you guys want to argue, I can stay here all night, but.
Not interested in arguing.
I came here over a year ago, and after an hour I was told to leave, and since then you've changed the bylaws that I can't talk for more than 10 minutes. So I think I've spoken my piece. I want to say, listen to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak during citizen spirit?
Don Madden, 15 Russick Bay. I'll just write you the letter I wrote to the town of Paw, mayor and council. Writing in regards to concerns about the sale of the old hydro lot on Bell Avenue. They are as follows. According to the Manitoba Conservation website, the lot was deemed contaminated, dated May 2012, and nothing posted otherwise since. Local contractors showed interest and approached to purchase the same lot and were declined due to the contamination. The idea was to build possibly a daycare and seniors housing units, which both are desperately needed in this community. With there being so much interest in the land, why was the option of tenders for purchase of the lot not done so that it was fair for all those interested to have an opportunity to bid or put a tender in? Transparency was promised when the election of current mayor and council were elected, and there is nothing transparent about the sale of the land. We understand that some minor things get dealt with without public knowledge, but this is a major development and resident concerns are valid. We do not doubt in our mind that each of the members of council would have the same concerns if they were told this was going to happen in their neighborhood for those that actively live within the town of The Pas. With it being said that there will be about 30 rooms in the medical hotel, will the sewer and water lines be able to handle it, as well as the lift station at the end of Bell Avenue, which has a hard time handling a rainstorm? As Bell Avenue is a continuation of the community walking path, how will that work with the no sidewalks and the extra traffic? As well as no sidewalks from the block of Paul Avenue towards Bell Avenue. Does the town plan on building sidewalks to accommodate foot traffic? As Swami Cree purchases the property, how does that work for taxes? Once they have purchased the land, can they declare it treaty land and then it is tax-free? How will this affect our property taxes? Is Kelsey School Division aware that they will have to find another drop-off and pickup zone for the kids that live in our area? The whole idea of this medical hotel is needed, just not sure this is the spot most sensible other than it is money towards previous mistakes made by town council. To have it closer to all the services and amenities such as the hospital and dental offices makes more sense if it is supposed to be a cost-effective solution to provide for our northern outlying communities. Thank you.
Again, is it possible for you to leave those notes with us? Perfect. Okay. Anybody want to comment? Okay, anybody else?
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Lorraine.
Well, I'm here to be the voice of our community animals, our cats and dogs.
Can you just so you can just say for the record your name and your street
Lorraine
address?
McIntosh, 240 7th Street East.
Thank you.
I was here in June, and I presented to the council a few concerns, but I did receive a letter. I got a letter from you saying that you would be discussing it during your budget talks. In November, I dropped off a petition that had 450 names on it, 444, I think, of concerned citizens who are very adamant that they want animal shelter for the Pas and that they're willing to support one, even with their tax dollars, I believe. So, what I'm here for tonight, to speak for the animals. It's winter, it's worse than it was in June. We have 12 cats in the shelter right now, and I can't stay for the rest of the meeting. I have to go back and look after them. So what I'd like is something in writing from council, if I could. Tell me what you discussed, where we're at right now as far as council and supporting an animal shelter for the Pas. Another thing I had requested was a spay and neuter program. It would cost $15,000 a year, I believe I wrote in my plan. And I'm wondering if you discussed that to help us reduce the number of kittens that are being born. Presently, as of December 31st, 2015, we completed 31 spays and neuters in the 9 to 10 months that we were operating. And we've already done maybe 12, 14 this year. So it's a much-needed service. And I think it would combine with educating the public. The more we spay and neuter and the more we talk about it, the more people will do it for their animals. Okay, another thing I'd ask for, and I really am excited to hear what you talked about here. Let's get a committee started in the Pas. A committee of interested people who will sit down and see if this is feasible or not. Can we afford to do and make an animal shelter? Or if we can't, then what are other alternatives? So I'm hoping that you decided, yes, we'll be part of a committee and help us strike that. What are they called? Steering committees? Planning committees?
The steering or ad hoc, yeah.
Ad hoc,
Yeah.
okay. I'm emotional about this. Last week I had to pick up a cat from the pound, and I was really upset with the condition of our pound in the paw. It is in complete disrepair. I thought it was a building, but I was shocked to see that it's a shed, a metal shed, with one small window and a door with no window. The kennels are totally, I don't know how you can put a dog in those kennels safely, because they are ripped apart and they have pieces missing. The floor is, I don't know if it's cement or what, but it's been painted and the paint is flaking off, which we know isn't safe for humans or animals to have that. So I'm asking if the council members could go, if you haven't seen the pound, go and take a look at it. And what can we do? If for so many of these animals, it's their last days on this earth, and we want to treat them with dignity. These cats, 3 cats that we took in from the pound, are still petrified. They're still scared, and it's been 5 days. So something has to be done. And then I just want to say, came up with an idea, if you can talk about this, the possibility of a storefront kennel. If we can't get an animal shelter going right away, or in the near future, other communities have, the town sponsors a storefront kennel where, for example, my little shelter, I would take cats there, downtown, for the day. They would stay there for the day and people would be able to see them, and they've had a lot of success with that, increasing their adoptions through that type of a system. So yeah, just for information, we raised almost $12,000 last year through fundraising and adoption fees, cash donations. Pardon me. And we spent $8,000 on vet fees and $2,400 on equipment and supplies. That's it.
Who doesn't love their pets, you know?
A lot of people don't. A lot of people are kicking them out.
Yeah,
And
it is heart-wrenching. It is.
yeah.
I can't think of a time since I've been on council that we haven't talked about building a kennel, building some sort of shelter. And it's difficult.
But it's
I
doable.
love the idea that we should get some people from within the community, not just us, but you. See, you know, there's lots of great ideas out there. There's lots of silly ideas, but there's lots of great ideas out there. Maybe there's a way. You know, we're tasked with putting a dollar value to everything, and it's difficult.
Well, I just like council to remember that when you're putting a dollar value to something, think about this, that this is a life or death situation.
Yeah.
And these are community animals. They're part of our community as much as we are. But there's no one to speak for them.
No.
And our citizens are doing so much, just privately, to help these animals, because there's no place for them to go. So, yeah.
I see stories of, you know, puppies and kittens hanging around the doors at school, hoping that someone will leave the door open for more than a half a second, they can run in where it's warmer. It's heartbreaking.
Lorraine, you mentioned that it's a community problem. Have you had a chance to present to the Arm of Kelsey or to OCN, to their municipal governments as well, and talk to them
No, I
about?
haven't thought about doing that, but I will.
Because it really is, we have a lot of issues on our table, and a lot of them are regional issues, regional in the small sense, in that our community within the 2.5-mile radius of the center of town here is 3 municipal governments. And so, I've heard lots of people kind of, the dogs and the cats, they don't know where the boundaries are. They get out, they go wherever. But the only place that has a holding facility, and ours is not a shelter, it's simply a holding facility, is the town of the Pas, and it has an expense associated with it. There's an expense associated with the animals running around the community at large, and we know that, and we recognize that. But at present, we have several issues that are rather large and rather prominent that are regional issues, and people keep turning to the town proper to come to the table to solve it. And then in the next breath, you hear people saying, why are our taxes the highest in the province? Why is it the town of the Pas is getting beaten by some editor or some person that writes an article in Winnipeg talking about how irresponsible the municipal government is? And I would argue that what we're doing right now by asking anybody that comes to our table that's dealing with an issue that is somewhat regional to say, we're going to be responsible here and say, have you talked to the other portions of our regional community? You need to. I'm happy to. I'm an animal lover. We have pets, we have cats. But the reality is when people come to our table with a regional issue and they want us to help resolve it, we need to know that they're also appearing at the other municipal government's tables to talk about the same issues and getting some kind of response there as well. We always invite comment and or certainly take ideas to the tables of those governments, but they need to hear that from the people that are undertaking the issues on the street, right? So someone like yourself would be, your cause would be better served, well served, not better served, but well served, to also go to the Arm of Kelsey council meeting and to try and get on a council meeting for the OCN chief and council. They have a public meeting no different than we do, and they take and they have a citizens period where people can speak. So, contact those places.
So it would be great if there could be someone from those governments on this committee if it gets going.
Absolutely. And people that come to the table with not just a request for money, but with an idea for resolving a problem tend to see more traction and more participation. So, what you're talking about is the right line of thinking. We've just been through a really tough month of budget work, and, there's not a lot of pennies to be pushed around to different people requesting things. So it's the right line of attack. I encourage you to continue with it, but also take it to the other municipal government fronts and make the same request.
When you think about it, though, what we're requesting, I know that it's going to take years to get an animal shelter for the Pas.
Yep.
But it's not going to happen if someone doesn't keep asking for it. But when you think about what we are asking for, like the spay and neuter program, $15,000 is really a drop in the bucket when you look at the whole budget. So I'm hoping that you guys can find a few thousand.
We've been counting every
Somewhere.
1/10 of the drop for the last month. So,
Yeah.
your request is well heard. We understand your position, and our budget will continue to be just about finalized soon. But just as an encouraging statement, you need to take this to other places too. We won't be able to do this alone. We won't be able to come up with what you're looking for just from here. It needs to come from other partners too.
So would I be able to get a letter from the town with this suggestion and what, just
I'm sure that we can
what
provide you a
was
letter of
discussed
feedback
in
that says here
budget?
here's the realities of what we're doing.
And reiterating, just what Andrew had said too, that, be sure and source out all opportunities,
Yes, I
you
will.
know.
It's a good suggestion. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. I
Thank you,
have to
Lorraine.
Thanks.
run.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Okay, we'll move on with the meeting then. We'll go to item number 5.1, accommodation tax bylaw.
Moved by myself.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yes. Sorry.
That's okay. I'll just wait for.
Yeah.
He conflict or abstain? Declare conflict.
Abstain.
Okay, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Forward. Be it resolved that bylaw number 4535, being a bylaw of the Town of the Paw to impose a tax on accommodation of short duration in order to support community enhancement projects, recreational infrastructure, and destination marketing, and to repeal bylaw number 4448, be read a second time.
Okay, any discussion?
This is the second reading.
This is second
This is the
reading.
second reading? Okay, I'll call the question then. All those in favor? 6-0, one abstain. Carries. Okay, third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Forward. Be it resolved that bylaw number 4535, being a bylaw of the Town of the Paw to impose a tax on accommodation of short duration in order to support community enhancement projects, recreational infrastructure, and destination marketing, and to repeal bylaw number 4448, be read a third time and passed.
Any discussion?
No.
5 years. All right, this is a recorded vote, third reading. Councillor Zelinski,
Yay, nay, yay.
you're in favor of the bylaw? You get to pick one. Yeah, you can't have both.
Yay?
Okay. Councillor Rock,
Yay.
Councillor Morrish.
Aye. I knew it.
Sorry?
Aye. That'd be a yay.
Okay. Councillor Forward,
Aye.
Councillor Commodore.
Yes. No.
Councillor Gibb is abstaining, and I am in favor. It passes unanimously.
Does the record record why the abstention? 'Cause I
It says
believe
that Gibb, it
He's
says that.
declared a conflict of interest.
Okay, but that shows up in the record, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's written on the bottom of the motion.
All right, thank you very much. Item number 5.2, waste bylaw.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore, whereas bylaw number 4534 was reviewed and changes were made to the free residential post-Christmas pickup. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Hang on one second. Whereas bylaw number 4534 was reviewed and changes were made, the free residential post-Christmas pickup was removed in error. Therefore be it resolved that bylaw number 4541, being a bylaw of the Town of the Paw to provide for a waste management system, and to repeal bylaw number 4534 be read a first time. So this, when we revised our waste bylaw previously to do with tipping fees and the solid waste management systems, inadvertently, the free post-Christmas pickup at the curbside was removed from the bylaw. So this is to get it back in there. Sorry.
Democratic paperwork. Any other discussion on this item? All right, all those in favor? Opposed, if any?
Aye.
Okay, so that's 6.
Do we want to get them?
Yeah, let's,
Oh, yeah?
I'll ask him if he wants to vote on this. We moved on to the waste bylaw. We inadvertently removed the post-Christmas no charge pickup, and so this new bylaw is to put that right
That's
back
really
in there.
moved along. Yeah.
And we're wondering if you're okay with that. Vote in favor of that? Good stuff. All right, 7. Okay, let's move on to item number 6.3.1, tax sale agreement. Resolution required.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Rock. Be it resolved that council authorize the mayor and an assistant chief administrative officer to sign an agreement for payment of tax arrears with respect to the taxes on Lot 11, Block 7A, Plan 562, in accordance with policy FA-822.
Okay, any discussion on this? Call the question. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, Brian.
Oh, I was just going to say that, as I understand it, the background on this stuff is people are allowed to choose to pay their taxes as opposed to land sale, tax sale. And I think it's always to our advantage to give people that opportunity.
Okay. which is happening here. Call the question. All those in favor? 7-0. Unanimously. It's carried. 6.3.2, a lease agreement.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore. Whereas Council has reviewed the lease agreement with BLT Automotive Inc. with regards to leasing property at the PA Airport. Therefore, be it resolved that Council authorize the Mayor and the Assistant CAO to sign lease agreement with BLT Automotive Inc. to rent space in the PA Airport Terminal Building for a car rental booth along with 17 parking spots for a 2-year term ending November 1st, 2017.
Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? It's carried 7-0. Okay, 6.3.3, meeting dates.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore, whereas Council has directed administration to do a full review of the organizational and procedural bylaws, whereas these bylaws outline when meetings of Council are to occur, and whereas the current bylaws do not reflect Council's current practice, therefore be it resolved that Council approve the following meeting dates: Monday, March 14, 2016, Tuesday, March 29, 2016, Monday, April 11th, 2016, and Monday, April 25th, 2016. And be it further resolved that all meetings will be at 6 p.m. in chambers, with the council meeting first and then committee of the whole to follow. So at present, we are holding our meetings differently than we have identified in our existing procedural bylaw, as opposed to meeting every week and doing council one week and committee of the whole the next. We are doing both meetings in one night every second week. And this is a dry run for us to test it out and see whether or not this system is one that works well. If it is, then we'll adopt that. I think at present it works well, and we'll probably end up adopting it at some point soon.
So, if everyone's in for the long haul after this meeting, we've got committee of the whole. And so on the same. Any discussion? Any further discussion on this? Call the question. All in favor? Okay. 6.3.4, Federation of Canadian Municipalities.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Rock. Be it resolved that Council authorize 4 members of Council to attend the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Trade Show in Winnipeg in June of 2016.
So I have, perhaps for clarification purposes, as a municipality, we belong to this organization, Federation of Canadian Municipalities. It's a federal organization that lobbies on our behalf with the federal government and with federal departments, agencies, and such. It's extremely expensive to attend, because sometimes it's in Halifax, sometimes it's in Vancouver, sometimes it's in Quebec City. This year it happens to be in Winnipeg, and we would like to take full advantage of its location. The other thing I'm concerned about is the trade show aspect, because this is actually authorizing us to attend a trade show, and in fact it's an annual convention. The trade show is part of an annual convention, and I don't think that the people who would be attending as council members should be working a trade show and taking time at a booth. And I think, I know it's coming up, so I just want to put that seed out there that the 4 people that would be attending a national convention and not working a trade show booth. I just think that's very important. There's a difference between attending a trade show or attending a convention. I don't think we're going to spend that money to send us to a trade show. So, having said that, is there any other discussion?
I'll save it for committee of the whole.
Okay. Councillor Rock?
I was just going to say, I'm one of those that put my name forward to attend this. I had wanted to go other years, last year, but it was in a farther location, greater cost. So it's really an advantage for councillors, if they can, to attend these, because this is a national scale event. And it gives us an opportunity to go out there and meet and have conversations with other similar communities, similar situations, and maybe learn from them and bring home some ideas that will work best for our community.
Okay. Anything? Councillor Gibb?
I have no problem with the conference, but I think senior managers should be invited. as opposed to necessarily counselors, because counselors come and go, but these guys run the day-to-day operation. So there's probably a lot more value they could get out of it, depending on some of the workshops, some of the contacts made. I'm looking at these three here, Randy's away. But it's great if we all go, we learn a lot, and then we don't run again, don't get elected, but there's consistency that we have in the room, and they should be top of shelf for that.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, just as a reminder, this would be authorizing 4 members of council to attend, and it is coming up for discussion in committee of the whole. All right, so having heard that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? No, 7-0. All right. 6.3.5, Municipal Part 9 Building Inspection Services Contract.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Forward, whereas in accordance with the Buildings and Mobile Homes Act, council is required to adopt and enforce the building code. And whereas the town had their own building inspector until 2013 and has since contracted the OFC to provide the service for the town. Therefore, be it resolved that council authorize the mayor and the assistant chief administrative officer to sign a 1-year contract with the Office of the Fire Commissioner in regards to municipal Part 9 building code inspection services in the amount of $17,365.95.
Any discussion?
So this is a contract with the Office of the Fire Commissioner for when people are doing either new builds or renovations and they need building permits and inspections, and they provide that service for us because right now we don't have a building inspector. We do have an internal staff person who is training to be a building inspector, so in the next year coming, we will save ourselves some money and actually see a little bit of revenue from being able to provide that service ourselves.
Councillor Zelinski.
And I think one good point to mention is that we can cancel the contract with the OFC within 30 days,
Yeah.
and we get the prorated amount back. So whenever our staff member is available and able to complete building inspections for us, that we will be able to get at least a portion of that money back from OFC.
Correct. Anything else? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? It's carried.